co-host, James Sanders, founder of Charlotte's most reliable IT services, Shared Resources. And we have a guest that I am happy to say, whether he will admit it or not, he is my mentee. I have been advising this young man. Now, he's been smart enough not to listen to everything that I have said for well over 15, 16 years. His name is Reed Sumloy. Loy.
We just covered that.
Sumloy. You think after 16 years I'd say it? I'd never use your last name. I say Reed, right? Reed has started a couple of small businesses over the years. He currently owns Willow Dumpsters. Reed, my friend, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So let me tell people how we met years ago, right? So that you'll see why I have this great affection for Reed, right? Years ago, we were at the Lake Norman Chamber Expo. And this young man walking around, introducing himself, handing out cards, saying he'd be more than happy to cut your grass for you, right? And, you know, that like warms my heart, right? You know that, don't you?
Oh, I
James,
do.
right?
I do.
And so I told the young man, I said, come on by the house, you know, I'll find something for you to do. And that was back when you were in high school. And then you and I just started talking, and your business started to grow, and he grew a exceptional business and ran it all the way through college as well. Then he came a knocking, asked me to help him. He wanted to buy another business. And helped him with that as well. And then we end up selling one of his businesses also. And now you have started Willow Dumpsters from scratch, which is really what I wanted to talk to you about. But did I get our relationship right? Did I miss anything?
Nope, just 10 years, not 15. I
10.
was too young then.
Excuse me. 10 years.
I looked at him, I thought, 15, good gracious.
Well, he's about 25. You about 25?
Yep.
Yeah. And you know me. I just like young people that are aggressive and energetic, you know, and ambitious. And my son is 22, and I love telling this story. It's so funny. Reed was working in the yard one day, and my son was up with me. Right, you know, we were just sitting, relaxing, and Reed pulled up to start cutting the grass, and I looked at my son. His name is CJ, and I said, "Look, CJ, that's the son I always wanted." Talking about Reed, of course.
Yeah, look, that kid's doing something.
That's exactly right.
Anything.
So to this day, Reed is a sore spot for me and my boy. Although he has a lot of respect for you also. He asks about you often. How's Reed doing, Dad? What's he doing, Dad? You know, that sort of stuff. So anyway, Reed, thank you for being here. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Let's kind of talk about, I want to go back. What made you want to print cards and walk into a business expo and ask if people want to get their grass cut? What was that motivated you to do that back then? Because I don't know if you know this, but that may be something James and I's generation would do, but it's not the generation that you grew up in. So it's unique, right? Talk about that a little bit.
I would say in the start, it's definitely instead of having the money to market, you have the time. So I was like, well, I can use my time well. It was, I don't know, summer, I was out of school. I can use my time well to go network with people. Maybe it turns into business. Maybe it turns into good contact that I use 10 years down the road.
Right, that's right.
But then I, you know, just over time going to different events and spending that time that I did have at the time instead of using money to market, it ended up working out well because it made connections, gained customers, and it sort of allowed, you know, dominoes to fall in place from there.
I mean, there's no question that one of my favorite things that Lake Norman Chamber does is put on the Business Expo, which, by the way, it's coming up soon as well. Bill Russell's going to be mad at me. I don't know the actual date. But it is the best place to meet and also to be seen.
I agree.
In the Lake Norman area, and I really
agree.
like that. Did you get other business besides me that year? Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Because it was such a successful move for you to make.
Look, for him to do that,
Yeah.
I even want to go back a year or two. Have you always had the entrepreneurial spirit? Did that hit in high school sometime?
Yeah, before I started with the lawn care end of things, I was making the paracord bracelets and approached, you guys would know the range at Lake Norman.
Yes.
And I was selling a few paracord bracelets there. So that was like the very first entrepreneurial activity, I guess you would say.
Right.
And what inspired that?
I don't know. I think I just started it maybe.
Not
Saw
the
it
not the
somewhere.
bracelets, but just wanting to do something to be your own, to chart your own destiny.
In the beginning, it definitely wasn't intentional. Even with the lawn care, it wasn't intentional. It was just, oh, I want to gain more customers. Oh, I want to grow the business. And then as things would grow and fall into place, and
Yeah, but what we're trying to ask is, my son went to Prosciutto's and said, "Can I wash dishes?" You decided to print up some cards and go meet somebody like Joe. Like, what made you go in that direction instead of knocking on the door to do something, work for somebody else?
Was there an adult influence in your life that you like? I want to be like that guy, or did you read a book?
no, none of that. It just sort of.
It was just-
He's
about-
just a
yeah.
natural.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, he
He has the
reminds me
force.
of me. So that's why we have this connection. I get it.
Gotcha.
I understand. There was no other thought, right? That's what I was going to do. I get it. I absolutely get it.
Yeah, it's not this grand answer that there's a backstory.
No, that's
It
right.
just fell into place.
Natural born businessman.
So Bill Russell just put on Facebook. It is Tuesday, October the 10th is the Small Business Expo for Lake Norman Chamber. It is a phenomenal event, and Reed is a great example because that's where we met.
Success.
People meeting people. It's just a great opportunity. So after you started your landscaping business, you started buying trucks. You started doing leaf removal from homes. I mean, you literally started treating this lawn care business like a true business. When did that happen? Because I want to say you were still in high school when that was happening.
Yeah, definitely. When I got my driver's license is when I started to really take it seriously. I think that probably stemmed from, oh, I want a car. And then
Right.
that gave like a very short-term vision and goal. And then after you get a car, it's, well, I have a car. And then after that, it was just, oh, I want to grow this. And then towards the end of high school, I realized, well, if I want to go to college, then I need to bring in other people to help manage this. So brought in someone to help manage the business while I was in school, and then just continue to grow it and build off of that.
And then on your last years of college is when you wanted to buy the whole, I call it hardscape business, patios and fireplaces and decks and that sort of stuff. And so that's when you wanted to try and expand it in a completely different area. So you continue to move the business forward with these different, let's call them offerings or services.
Yeah, correct. And it definitely stemmed from sort of an enjoyment aspect that lawn care was very, cut and dry. Oh, you get a property looking nice. Maybe after a couple months you can get into good shape. The project was more fulfilling, just starting with something, a plan, a design, and turning it into oasis for someone.
Right.
And then sort of how the dumpster business played in with that is I dealt with a few dumpster companies. Hey, we need a dumpster out on this job site. I would order it, and they would end up, taking a few days to get it delivered, whatever. We would stack up the trash, but it would be annoying to the client just having a pile of trash sitting in their yard, not organized, sort of dangerous if they had kids running around. And then the final kicker was, hey, we need to pick up at that dumpster. The project's done. And okay, we'll be out there in a couple days, maybe a week. And I said, well, we can't get paid. We're not going to be fully off the job site until this dumpster's removed.
I got to get this junk out of here.
That's the final step here. Get the dumpster out, clean everything off, and final check. And just by the dumpster service being slow and me as the contractor at the time really just created like a huge pain point.
And I know you. Well, forget it then. I'll just get me a dumpster and then you're like, well, I got to have a truck to move the dumpster, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And you were saying that you're up to 52 dumpsters now,
At this point, correct.
and you have 5 currently available that are not on job sites.
Correct.
And what do you do with all those when they're not on job sites?
We have a yard, and then sort of logistically, we have one yard in one area of the city, another yard in the other area, and then like our main yard where, at night things
3
are
locations.
Yeah.
3 locations
Yeah.
to store those dumpsters when they're not in use. That's pretty sweet.
This is a young man up and coming,
Yes.
and it happens to be in trash. This
Well,
just
what-
shows you
what-
there's money all over the
What
place.
he identified was if you want to be better organized with your trash, if you want to keep it in a safe place, and if you want expedient service, those are 3 things he's delivering. He didn't like what he was getting from the current guys. And that's
correct.
What he's doing.
And so when we get back, we're going to talk about that, the different services, the different sizes, and that sort of stuff, and how you chose. One of the things I just adore about him is, most of the dumpsters you see are all rusted and messed up. Oh, not Reed. Sexy, pretty blue looking, nice. Matter of fact, all the other dumpster companies, they make fun of him, for spending the money, make sure the dumpsters are actually clean.
Hey, did you, you know what they call a miniature dumpster?
No.
Oh, well, I can't tell you. It's a little trashy.
Oh, I'm the one that says the jokes.
Oh, sorry. Go.
Go ahead, do it. You got 5 seconds.
Business matters.
Yeah. With my friend of over 10 years, he corrected me. He won't let me say 15 years. 10 years, Reed Sumloy. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Sumloy. He had me spell it properly and all. Reed, thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate it. So we were talking about you starting the dumpster business. So it just like all of your business, it was like this out of necessity to provide the service that you wanted to provide a client. It just seemed to move in that direction. Is that a fair way to say how it got started?
Yeah, very.
So when I look at your website, which by the way, it is a great website. You did a really nice job with that website. So when I go there, to me, I'm asking the question, who is your main profile buyer? Who's your client, right, that would call you and ask you for a dumpster?
We have a variety of clients, pretty diverse in that aspect, from the homeowner who might clean up their house when they're moving or have too much junk or doing a DIY project to a school that's being built that needs multiple dumpsters each week for the duration of the school build. We have dumpsters out on civil projects for highways and bridges, dumpsters that are taken over to Walmart's, Targets during emergencies, Sam's Club, industrial, of course, builders, contractors are a good majority. So pretty much can range. Anyone's creating waste.
When you told me you wanted to start this business, I was scared to death because I'm like, Reed, do you realize some of the largest corporations in the world deal in trash? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is not a small business, right? This is big business. But you felt this niche, right? Talk about this niche where you seem to fit really well.
The niche is really service oriented and having a relationship. Those 2 things are important. Service is, of course, most important because if you have any type of job going and your dumpster's overflowing, we've had pile of trash next to it, rebar sticking out. It's not safe. And at the end of the day, that waste needs to go somewhere. And then, sometimes it's taken to landfill, sometimes it's taken to disposal sites that are, they sort through it and sort through materials that they can reuse in different capacities. For example, maybe the wood would be shredded and used for fuel to, heat different aspects, or the metal will be taken out and recycled, the plastic be taken out, melted, and reused. So there's different avenues for the waste to go, even once it's disposed of in the dumpster. So
one of the things that I really like when I talk to you about your business that as a small business guy, right, I kind of see where you're headed with this. When you say service, what you mean is when I'm ready for the dumpster, it's there, and when I'm ready for you to pick it up, it's gone. And you would think that'd be no big deal, but most dumpster companies don't work that way. They'd say, "I'll get there. I'll put you on the schedule," kind of like wait in line at a restaurant. We'll get to you, but we just don't know where it is. Mm-hmm. Where you really take pride in absolutely trying to provide this start-stop that works for them.
Yeah, as much as we can. Of course, there's things out of their control, traffic, flats, breakdowns, but as much as we can control, we're really timely, and that's really important.
I guess the difference is you've got the big dumpster companies. They've got thousands of dumpsters. He's got 52. He's going to really pay attention to those 52. He has the bandwidth to pay attention to the 52 and provide the service that they want.
That's a great point, James. Because Reed, talk about that, because you choose the kind of clients you want and when you're willing to drop them a dumpster, because you want to make sure you can deliver
when they call and say, pick it up, right? So that's important to you. Talk a little bit about how you choose the clients that you accept.
Right now, just based off of the amount of dumpsters we have, for example, I've turned down work that they may require on that particular project or job site or clean out, demolition, who knows, that they might need 20 dumpsters. At this point, I could service that, but then I'm letting down all of our other customers that use us long term. So I can't sacrifice short term, just gaining that one big customer at that moment to sacrifice all the other clients who, you know, bread and butter that have stuck with us.
Right. And that's a lot of small, I don't think you know this, a lot of small business people don't do that, right? They take everything they can, right? And they miss the big picture. Of course, I know that about you. You even back when you were cutting grass, there were certain people you'd say no to when, in fact, it was out of your cutting area. And so I know that about you. You've always been pretty strategic. And that's because your dad is an engineer, correct? I thought your dad was an engineer.
In the finance credit card realm.
Okay. But my point is he's very detailed, so I think you would have conversations with him and he would help you make sure that you stayed focused.
Yeah, that definitely probably had an influence.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to go to your website, how could they do it, buddy?
WillowDumpsters.com, and they can go on there, call the number, text the number, or simply book a dumpster online. You know, sometimes we'll wake up in the morning and have orders for that day, and we take care of that customer.
Awesome.
So see, James, he got the whole IT thing going, man.
That's great.
Order online.
Nice.
You never have to talk to a person. Why are you looking at except that there's a person hiding in the dumpster that he might have to.
You
that
talked
was off the air joke that I make to anybody.
You talked about somebody jumping out of a dumpster when you're about to haul it away, but you know, I used to love dumpster diving. What's the best thing you've ever gotten out of a dumpster?
He doesn't dig into the dumpster.
Well, he might.
I usually don't, but there was a story. We had a customer. We went and picked up the dumpster. They said, "Hey, we need one for a cleanup." Okay. We went and picked up the dumpster. It's full of salt lamps, all brand new in their boxes. There you go. They had an e-commerce site. I think they might have been moving, and there's something going on. And, you know, contractually, we still call them, "Hey, do you mind if we donate these, bring them some, or just not bring all these brand new salt lamps to the landfill?" "Oh, we'd be happy. Thank you. We give you permission." Yes. So we went to a local Goodwill, and they took like 5. "Okay, that's all." And I was like, "Well, what are we going to do with the rest of these? Do you not want them?" So they sent us down to corporate, and there's like a big headquarters center that we brought the dumpster there, and they unloaded it, and
very good. That's great.
Got to good use.
And kept it out of the landfill.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. Now I don't have to go digging through a landfill for my next salt lamp. That counts.
Okay.
That counts.
So how do you? Because a lot of what you do is construction related, right? Or like stuff from a house. It's metal. It's old washing machines or whatever, right? You're cleaning out my attic. How do you discern what goes where? Walk me through that. Does it all go to the same place?
No. Part of the client's interaction in the beginning is describing what they're going to put in it. So that way, if they may say, "Oh, I'm putting yard waste in there." In North Carolina, you're not allowed to have leaves, sticks, branches, green waste go into a landfill. It has to go to a facility that's either specialty to that or going to recycle it. So if they say, "Hey, we're going to put in branches," I have to filter those and call them and mention, "Hey, if you're going to put in the branches, it has to be a separate dumpster." And just give them a heads up on that as much as we can. So people's description of what they're going to put in is pretty important. And of course, sometimes people slip in things that they're not supposed to. When you get to either the recycling or disposal site and you dump out, they'll catch it and say, "Hey, you need to haul this away," or "Hey, here's the additional charge," and they pile it up and take it to the proper site. An example is tires. You can't put a bunch of tires into the landfill. Those need to be taken somewhere else and recycled.
And then how do you handle that with the client?
It depends. It's very situational. Everything there's no one size fit all. So a lot of people think, "Oh, it's a simple business. You drop up a dumpster here, drop it up." There's a lot of little things that go into it from there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
What advice would you give some buddy that's thinking about starting a business right now? What advice would you give them?
When you say something, stick to that word. It's simple, but I feel like it really goes a long way.
It's funny that somebody young like you is saying that because, as you, a lot of times we don't learn that, James, until we get older. You
Until
know,
we screw up a few times.
That's right,
And
that's
lose
right,
a few
that's right,
great
that's right.
deals. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I joke and call you my mentee, right? Talk about some people that have helped you over the years and have talked with you and that sort of stuff. Because you do that. I mean, you go reach out and ask people for their advice. That's important to you. To kind of talk about that.
I would view it. There's people that have been through, no matter their age, anything. They've just been through different experiences, and I feel like they can give a different perspective. And if you get 10 people's perspectives, there may be a few things, and you have to take them with a grain of salt. But if you take them all into consideration, really sit down and think through it, I feel like it averages out and gives you a good, thought process using the averages.
You're saying you have to dig a lot of trash before you find some treasure?
Yeah.
There you go.
Great.
So stop with the digging in the trash.
Well, I'm just saying. He found, he listens to 2 hours of conversation with you. And he says, you know what? There's about a minute and a half in there that's actually useful.
There's about 2 minutes. That's exactly right. That's a good point. And the truth is, Reed, it wasn't me wanting to give you advice. It was you asking, right? I mean, so that's why we joke when I call him my mentee, right? Because it really was him that absolutely aggressively would come and ask me questions. And that's a rare treat that happens.
That someone would ask you for advice?
That's true. That's a true statement.
It is excellent
It shows
relationship
a lot
between
of
the two of
Reed.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really does.
Hey, buddy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and if it's Monday afternoon, say it.
Your business matters.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.